military terms, you would call this a presence patrol. You would roll a heavily armed patrol like this down an Iraqi street, and the goal would be to sow fear into the population. I want to give you more context on what's been happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Man, these motherfuckers, that's how I feel.
The news is reporting that this was an execution of a search warrant not related to immigration. Yet photos from people on the scene clearly show ICE is there. Now remember, in 2020, Trump wanted the military to shoot protesters in the streets. Protesters that started coming out in force after George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Can't you just shoot them? Just shoot them in the legs or something. And he's suggesting that that's what we should do, that we should bring in the troops and shoot the protesters.
The commander-in-chief was suggesting that the U.S. military shoot protesters.
Yes, in the streets of our nation's capital.
Notice how violent this guy is, and he is the only one amongst them wearing a mask. In the military, we would call this a presence patrol. The goals would be to deter the enemy through highly visible show of force and to gauge the level of enemy resistance. They have armored vehicles. They are wearing full battle rattle, and it feels like a probe to see how the people will react. Notice the difference in the interaction between these local city cops versus these militarized federal police.
MPD does not align with HSI. MPD should not be punished. This is not what you promised.
I'll give you an example of something very systematic. There were a couple of times where my commanders gave us a box of flashbang grenades, and they just told us to start throwing them out of the driving car. When I asked why, they told us to make the Palestinians understand who owns this place.
I'm not a journalist, so I can speculate wildly. I wonder if Trump has a chip on his shoulder from 2020, and this presence patrol was to gauge the level of resistance in Minneapolis. I could see a scenario where they pardoned Derek Chauvin, and they have all of these militarized federal units on the ground already, and this time there is no one that will push back on an order to shoot protesters. I don't have any more information than any of you, but that's what came to my mind when I saw these videos. They wanted to see what kind of response the locals would have against a militarized incursion, and that data will be used to inform their future operations in Minneapolis.